It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 378. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Hi.
Hi.
So,
We should talk about what we're going to have in the show first.
yeah, we got some big stuff this week.
We do. So I guess first on the docket is this interesting little time off schedule that Peloton has put out. You know, they kind of like just slid it under the radar in late July.
Yes.
But now that the new fall schedule is out, it's causing all kinds of eyebrows to be raised.
Now that we see it in fruition and zoom out, we got some questions.
We do.
We got some questions that are going to sound an awful lot like answers.
That is true. We also have our interview with Jolene and Abanses, and she is here. We are going to be talking about her marathon running, and she tore her meniscus a couple of times. So she's been using the bike to get better, trying to get back into running. So she's working on that, and we're going to hear all about her journey. We also have the updates on the All for One classes, as well as a few interesting little tidbits from the Peloton world. We have instructor updates. We also have we have a visit from Angelo, and he's going to be talking about taming your sweet tooth. And we have content updates, as well as in case you missed it, in birthdays.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn. Wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you are there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's always nice.
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget our YouTube channel where you can watch all of these. That's over at youtube.com/theclipout. You can sign up for our mailing list at theclipout.com, so you'll get a weekly reminder, mostly weekly reminder that we exist and that there's an episode out. It has all the links and everything, so if you want to find an article and you don't want to scroll through Instagram or our Facebook page, you can go straight there. And you can also check out our Patreon if you are so inclined. It's just a nice and much appreciated way to support the show. It's $5 a month, and you get all sorts of bonus content. Every week we record additional 20, 25 minutes-ish, depending on how much is going on, episode of just content that we didn't have time to get to in the show. This week, we're going to be talking about like Ash Pryor and her new partnership.
Yeah, it's a
like
big
sponsorship.
One. It's a real big one.
Yeah, and we'll talk about how run clubs in New York are the new Tinder.
Yeah. Which I can't wait to dive into. Not to mention, Ben was a guest speaker at Logitech, and we're going to be talking about some updates with Peloton Germany. Not to mention, why is Peloton asking about submitting questions for certain instructors?
Yeah, for sure. So that's $5 a month. You get weekly extra content like that. You also get these episodes entirely ad-free, and if we get it early, you get it early, and you get a special place in our heart for helping us out. So anyway, there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
Okay, let's talk fall schedule.
Let's do it.
So in your never-ending quest for Peloton information, you noticed some interesting quirks about the schedule, and then you married that up with a quietly released blog post from back in July?
Yeah, July 26th, to be exact.
About how the new fall schedule was being configured. And when you merged those two pieces of information in your head, there was an explosion.
There was.
And there was crystal shrapnel everywhere.
Yeah. So I really want to say that, a little birdie did raise my awareness. I was not the first person to see this, and I don't want to claim to be.
For sure.
But they have asked to remain anonymous. But when this person brought this up to me, I started taking a look at everybody on the instructor list that's on the schedule right now and what's going to be on the schedule. So that's where I started. And it led to some interesting things. Let's start with the blog post. The blog post from July talked about the fact that they were going to have an off season for instructors. And they say it in this very positive way. It's going to be time to rest. It's going to be time to recharge. They even liken it to professional athletes.
Right.
So all good, right? And believe me, we here at the Clip Out are in strong support of everybody getting time off. Everybody needs time to rest and recharge.
It is a physically demanding job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the thing is, though, that what we didn't see in that post is anybody spelling out how long the instructors would be off.
Right.
And that it wasn't necessarily going to be like just a one-time thing. Instead, it's going to be spread out. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because when I started looking and comparing all these different numbers of classes that the instructors have out there are some people that haven't been on the schedule the entire month of September.
Right.
Nor are they on the schedule so far for the entire month of October.
And we should say we compiled this information and we are recording this portion of the show before the All for One announcement tomorrow.
Yes. And so we are very well aware there may be additional classes that could skew these numbers. Okay. But let's take Nico, for example, 0 classes for September, 0 classes for October. Okay.
It's hard to believe All for One would fix that.
Yeah. Even if she had a class for All for One, right?
Right.
Or 2. That's still very, very low when you look at some instructors have as many. There was one instructor that had, if you included live and encore and premiere, they had as many as 20 classes already on the schedule. Now, those are the two ends of the spectrum.
Right.
There's a huge chunk of instructors that kind of fell in the 12 to 14 range. And then there was a chunk of instructors that fell between 6 and 11. And then there were instructors that fell between 0 and 4.
It's hard not to immediately slot that into tiers. Like
right?
You've got A instructors, B instructors, C instructors.
It is. But I will say what is curious about that is for example, you have Ali Love. Right now, she only has 7 classes on the schedule. Again, before All for One. Also before we have a confirmation of who all is at Rebecca and Andy's wedding. Because we know that is potentially going to change things as well.
For sure.
So having said that, Allie only had 7 classes.
Now, I will say Allie is one of those instructors who has lots of side hustles going on. She's doing stuff for Netflix.
But wouldn't you agree so is Robin?
Yeah, but I would also say I'm prepared for the Allie Love fans to come at me.
Okay.
Robin does more. She wants her life nonstop in a way. Not that Allie Love doesn't do a lot, because she does, but Robin seems to pride herself on just always being on the go.
But double the amount, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Robin has 15. Allie has 7.
Well, and that makes me wonder is if either All for One's going to bring that up a little bit.
Absolutely.
And also, is she off doing season 2 of that Netflix dance show or something like that?
Could be. And that's why we're asking these questions. I mean, we don't know the answers to this, but Christine only has 2 in September. So far, she has 0 on the schedule for October. Anna only has, she has 0 classes for September and October. Dennis only has 2 for October so far and none for September. And yes, Anna is on vacation. Yes, Dennis is on vacation. Christine has a bunch of retreats and workshops coming up. But I can't help but ask the question, did the retreats come because there was a hole in a schedule, or is there a hole in the schedule?
So she planned retreats.
Right.
Exactly. And you know what this reminds me of is brace yourself.
Oh, Lord.
Brace yourself.
So it's going to be pop culture.
There's going to be a pop culture analogy.
I mean, if you're talking, it is.
Yes. So what this reminds me of is when you see a TV show that is starting to struggle, what they will often do, the first thing they'll do these days is they'll renew it, but they'll reduce the episode count, right? So it'll go from 25 episodes a season, well, we're just picking up for 13, right? Especially because you don't see near as many shows that have the 25, 26 episodes a season like you used to. So anyway, but the next thing that they'll do after they reduce the episode count is they will take certain characters and they'll bump a reoccurring character, like they'll take like a supporting character and bump them down to reoccurring, and they'll take a reoccurring character and make them less reoccurring. And so all of a sudden, and you'll notice this in shows that you like, especially as they get deeper into the run, if they're not huge giant hits, there'll be certain characters that just disappear for an episode. So it might be a 13 episode season, but there's certain actors that get a 10 episode contract, and then the writers know you got to leave these characters on the sidelines for 3 episodes, or this one for 3 and that one for 4. And this is what that kind of feels like to me, that it's like, we're not firing you, but we're going to reduce how often we're utilizing you in order to lower our costs.
And that's the thing. That's the big question. Is this actually a cost savings measure that has just been draped in a wellness? And then that begs the question, well, is that why Kristen McGee is no longer here?
Right.
Is that why Kendall Toole is no longer here?
Right. Because they went through with their metrics and determined who was A, who was B, who was C. And some of the people that maybe thought they were A's found out they were B's, or thought they were B's found out they were C's.
And it really explains the two vastly different reactions between Kendall and Kristen McGee. I mean, we always felt it had something to do with like the terms of the contract. I know several times you said it was a pay cut, and this would be a pay cut.
A version of that, yeah.
But I feel like when you pair these things together, it makes a much more complete picture of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it gives more proof of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh.
And different people react to that different ways, right?
Sure.
Like some people hear a message like that and they get mad, aka Kendall. And some people hear a message like that and they get sad, aka Kristen McGee.
Because I think Kristen loved her job in a different way, and I always felt this way, but now this backs it up. If this were true, I am projecting onto her, and I fully understand I am projecting this, that she was sad to leave and she had to make a change to continue being able to care for her children in the same way.
Right. Because
it would have made too much of an impact financially otherwise. She's a single mom.
Right.
So you got to make those tough choices. So I don't know. I don't see another way to read this because here's the other thing. It's important to note. The entire studio was closed from 8/19 to 9/4. So that means that some of these people were off basically the last 2 weeks of August, all of September, and now the first 2 weeks of October.
And that's almost a full quarter. And
that's not a vacation.
Right. And we've talked before about like there's these company-wide budget cuts, but the instructors were seemingly unaffected, which from a corporate standpoint seems a little weird because normally when you're making across the board cuts, it's across the board, right, and they're part of the board, and so I think it's hard not to read this as this was a way for Peloton to lessen that line item without having the optics of we laid off or furloughed instructors.
It also explains why everybody was on the same contract cycle.
Yeah.
Because they had to change terms even if you already had a contract in place. That's why it affected everyone.
And that makes sense too, because we thought it was weird, like they all came in at different times.
Right.
How do why
are these all taking place in June at the same time?
Right. Those things don't sync up. They're not menstrual cycles.
Right.
Right.
which is a thing, but that's a whole different story. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. And I will also say, I have noticed that some instructors who have stopped doing as much on the side are now doing more on the side. Like Jess King is doing her mindful life coaching again. She always did it to some extent, but there was like a good 2-year time period in there. Granted, she and her partner were both pregnant.
Also fair.
That she wasn't doing it, but now it's back. And then you have like all of these new websites all of a sudden popping up, and they're selling themselves on these websites like this. It like takes all these seemingly unrelated things and it just puts it in this line and go, oh, got it.
It's like all kind of locking into place.
It is. Yeah. So I am very curious to hear of the rest of the membership's reaction to this, and if people mind, care, are upset, mad. I mean, they have a Peloton has a real potential to upset people. They were already upset that so many of the classes had been taken down. You know, at one time whenever I first joined Peloton, you might see a Jen Sherman or a Robin Arzon have 8, classes all day long. There would be bike classes 8 hours out of the day.
Right.
Now you're lucky to get 4. And now there's other content.
For sure. I wonder if, or maybe they haven't even contemplated this yet, but will this result in a slowing of the purge cycle? Because
now there's less to...
And look, Peloton produces a ton of content. I mean, just even at this slightly reduced level, it might not be exactly what you want when they want, but you get a ton of content from Peloton. That is just absolutely a fact. Way more and way better than you're going to get from other platforms, right? But if they're producing less, you wonder if at some point they have to slow down how quickly they purge things so they can keep the back catalog thick enough for people to dive into.
That's a really good question. I also can't help but notice the last few weeks we have talked about the fact internally between you and I, and the bees, the helper bees, that there's no artist series coming out.
Yeah. Also feels like a cost-cutting measure because, I mean, I'm assuming they're paying for that, which I would also say is dumb.
Yeah.
Because that's promotion. If they are paying for that, I hope they're not, because they shouldn't have to, because that's promotion for the artist. That is mutually beneficial. And like, with the exception of the really A-list stuff, the Beyoncés, the Taylor Swifts, the Beatles, then yeah, you probably have to pay for that. But for a lot of those artists, they should just be happy to be getting talked about. Yeah,
there's been a lot that are not exactly ginormous, well-known artists. There's also been a lot that just us older people don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get the need to like do some of these things and not hurt your stock price. But I also think that like when people start putting this stuff together and everybody starts talking about it, it makes people feel as if you're hiding things from them. And if you're hiding things from them, then now we can't trust that whatever you're doing in the background is on the up and up. But
I will say, in the grand scheme of things, if this is what's occurring, I get it.
I don't not get it.
Yeah.
But say that.
Yeah.
I am a person who just likes to lay the cards on the table.
Yeah.
I don't like to shit and play games.
You are not publicly traded.
That is true. That is very true. But isn't that a concern, right?
Yeah.
Because if somebody like me can see this, if our listeners can figure this out, you think those stockholders can't? But besides, they follow all shit anyway. Yeah. You think they're not looking? I mean, it's just, you're delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. If it's not that, I'm really curious to see what it is.
Absolutely. So with that being said, let's segue into the All for One classes will be dropping. Now, we are recording this before they drop. We record on Wednesdays. They're doing that on Thursday. So,
yes.
So by the time you hear this, that information will be out there.
But I think it's important to note that we have been asking the question, will they have members in studio? And now that question is answered because it is going up on the studio website and it's going up on Thursday. So just like classes normally open up Thursday at noon Eastern, and this appears to also be opening up on a Thursday at noon Eastern, not 6 weeks out, but it's still on a Thursday.
Gotcha.
It's actually such a short time period. You have to ask, who can book. Only tri-state area people. Like, that's it.
I mean, or people with lots of miles and lots of PTO.
Okay, that's true. And I mean, but I just, you know, you better have some big bands to expect people to do that.
I think that they know that those slots are so sought after, even in the quote unquote worst of times. That
okay, well, that's another thing while we're on this subject. And it worries me because for the first time ever in the last 3 weeks, there have been multiple instances of classes not being full. Multiple. Never happened before. Never at PSNY. And I mean the same week that they're happening, they're open. What is up with that?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? And does that then mean now we're going to have, the data is then going to tell Peloton we need even less classes.
Right.
So.
Well, I think ultimately the data they're looking at is how many people take the class, not how many people are in the class.
No, that's fair.
You know, because that's just, you know, what they're charging to get into a class is nominal.
It is.
In the grand scheme.
Yeah.
That is not a legit revenue stream for them. Now, what you spend at the shop while you're there, that's probably a legit revenue stream for them.
Yeah. And yeah, it's also interesting because don't forget that in the US, there's one day that on Wednesdays, they're no longer having any classes live.
Yeah.
And in the UK, there's 2 days.
I would also put an asterisk on that to ask, I wonder if some of the empty slots in classes are a result of them clamping down on the people that go over and over again. Like they've tried to put better mechanisms in place to prevent people from hogging spots.
I don't think so. And here's why. Remember, they opened the door. They changed their security. So now anybody can walk in. That has been verified. So you can go walk in to get on a wait list anytime you want. So I don't think that they're trying to clamp down anything.
Gotcha.
In fact, I think it's the opposite, which is concerning.
Yeah. They want those people back now.
Yeah.
They need seat fillers, like the Grammys.
Yeah. They're just standing outside. Hey, you.
Yeah.
Come take this class.
You look like you need to exercise.
That'll go over well.
Yeah. That's what they kept doing to me in London. I got offered a bike like 5 times. I'm like, no, I'm good.
I only did 2 classes, Tom.
Yeah. but we were in and out of there a lot.
That's true.
And they kept being like, you want to hop on a bike? I'm like, no, I'm good.
So funny.
We talked a couple weeks ago, I guess, about the new Peloton Deals tab.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Peloton Deals, we hardly knew ye. It is gone.
I guess it was just there for Labor Day. It popped up just before. And I guess they were like, okay, we got all we needed out of that.
I guess maybe it's something they will turn on and off. Maybe you'll get turned back on Black Friday and turned back off.
I'll keep an eye on it, but I have a feeling that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, to really highlight and drive traffic to the deals, make it super easy for people to find.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I noticed like on the Amazon site, there's a deals tab. And at Christmas time, it goes away and becomes like, I think it becomes like a Black Friday thing. And then I forget what they call it during Christmas, but they call it something different at Christmas.
Well, maybe Peloton's just using that logic and they're copying it.
Yeah.
It works.
I mean, I guess you can't really go wrong copying what Amazon does. It seems to be working.
It does.
Based on how many planets Jeff Bezos now owns.
Okay.
So we have a little sneak preview of what to expect at this weekend's Lululemon event.
Yeah, very similar to the last time, but I figure not everybody heard it. So every class that you go in, you're going to be getting a water bottle every time. So if you are in 3 live classes, you will have 3 water bottles. I'm just saying pack appropriately.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need a lot of luggage to take all those home. And I am not joking. Trish will be taking extra luggage this time. So also at the studio, you to your point earlier, you can buy all of the stuff and you get 20% off of the Peloton and Lululemon collection. There's, of course, terms, so I'm sure some stuff doesn't count.
Sure.
And then they're going to have a recovery lounge again. So they're going to have a hyper ice. They're going to have those little things that you can put your legs in and they squeeze them and recover your legs that I can't think of. Normatec, I think is what you're looking for. They also get to have another Beyond Feel shoe demo. So that'll be exciting. You can wear those. You can exercise in them. They have limited pairs and sizes available and they are first come, first serve.
And if you slip and fall, you can't sue them.
Correct.
Yeah.
You also get to grab a free coffee at the cold brew cart on the plaza level. So I think it'll be a great time. I know most people had an amazing time last time.
People seem to dig it.
They did. Can't wait to hear more.
Coming up after this, we're going to talk to Angelo. He has tips for you on how to tame your sweet tooth. So stick around.
Flip out.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Angelo from MetPro here to answer all of your fitness and nutrition questions. Just not at once.
Right.
Not all of them simultaneously. There's one now, but over time,
we're going to answer all of them now.
He'll get to them eventually.
He thought this podcast was long before.
Right?
Sit back.
Well, today we have a question from Darlene Jones. She is saying that she has a sweet tooth throughout the year and she does not know how to conquer it. Do you have any thoughts on how she can rein in the sweet tooth?
Yep, I do. So it's not a magic bullet, but this will help. So I know it's cliche, but by following clean eating, small meals frequently throughout the day, it will stabilize your blood sugar and it will keep cravings at bay. Now I want to explain, because people ask me, well, what are cravings? And we get confused. Not having cravings doesn't mean you forget how good chocolate tastes.
Oh, no.
That's not what it means.
That's not a thing.
It's not a thing, exactly. Not if you're me, anyway. But there is a huge difference. So, for example, when I am following my own advice and eating my clean breakfast, I have my healthy snacks. When it gets to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I still remember that chocolate tastes good, but every fiber of my being is not saying, eat sugar, eat sugar, eat sugar. Whereas when I wake up, I skip breakfast, I snack through lunch, and then I have maybe just a simple carb as a snack in the afternoon, and I know I need to eat something. Now come 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my body is radically craving sugar. That perpetuates the cycle. So I grab just a bite of sugar. Then I have dinner. Guess what? By 9 o'clock at night, I'm craving more sugar. That's classic yo-yo effect with blood sugar when it's not stable throughout the day. So when you're eating a balanced, lower glycemic, and that just simply means incorporating protein, incorporating fiber, don't forget about healthy fats, a balanced breakfast, lunch, and of course, if you've heard me before, you know how important an afternoon snack is. If you incorporate those things, you will find that the blood sugar-induced cravings will radically subside. It will take 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days of clean eating, reducing your sugar, the cravings will radically subside. The next piece of advice that I would give you, Darlene, is kind of a little bit more obvious, but it does work, and that is, don't battle a craving or the fact that, ice cream tastes good and hunger at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't let yourself get overly hungry. So a lot of times what we try and do is, well, because I'm going to have that bite of sugar, or I had that bite of sugar, I'm going to try and eat less of everything else. That is like making payments on a credit card. That's a win right now and a whole lot of interest you'll be paying on that later. You never catch up. What you got to do is find the appropriate portions and amount that keep you satiated throughout the day. So that way you have the willpower to not eliminate sugar, but to pick and choose when you have it. And I really have a strong recommendation that I make for my clients, because people want to know, once I'm working with you, Angelo, I can't ever, I'm working with MetPro, I can't ever have sweets again. No, that's not the idea here. The idea is that we have a purposeful nutrition plan. And as a general rule, on Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're not diving into a piece of cobbler pie. We're saving that for the special occasions. And I want you to indulge on special occasions. I want you to have occasions where you enjoy yourself. Just don't do it out of habit. out of monotony, out of boredom. Nothing's going on, no special occasion. It's 2:00 on a Thursday. That's not the time to break into the sugar. Save that for the special occasion. And that recommendation only works if you have some healthy meals already prepped, already ready to go. You have healthy food waiting for you and you're not starving in the middle of the day. So planning ahead, having a basic strategy to not miss meals, and keeping your blood sugar stable will significantly help. Time isn't going to permit us right now, but the next thing that maybe on a different occasion we could talk about is how to have something sweet that isn't refined sugar. And there are, of course, lots of options for that. But we'll save that one for next time.
Okay.
When you talk about stabilizing your blood sugar, every time Crystal and I like treat ourselves and get pizza or something, we have a version of this conversation the next morning.
Yeah.
Why am I so hungry?
Yeah.
I had so much food last night. I had a pizza. Not I had pizza. I had a pizza. And how am I waking up hungry? That's mathematically impossible.
And yet.
But here I am. Yeah.
That's exactly right, Tom. And you're experiencing those blood sugar induced cravings, which take about 48 hours to stabilize. So that's why it seems like when you have an indulgent weekend, it is so hard to get back on track on Monday. But if you do, you're in good shape by Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's the key. Get back on track, and those cravings will absolutely subside.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of that. Until next time, where can people find you or Crystal to get all this sort of stuff tailor-made for their lives?
Absolutely. You can find us at metpro.co/TCO. Come talk to us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Peloton in the news.
Katie Wang has added a Strength Instructor to her duties.
Isn't that exciting?
It is cool. But reflecting back on what we just talked about, I also wonder if that's part of hey, we need you to do more things, not just be a row instructor. And I'm sure a lot of these instructors are like, absolutely.
Well, on that note, don't forget Mariana just got her tread spot. And then then you got to wonder, does that mean that we're going to see another instructor do a crossover here shortly?
This reminds me of when I was in radio.
This is radio vibes.
Where it's well, you're going to do middays, but you're also going to be the promotions director.
I mean, hey, let me be clear. Despite the fact that I'm not exactly happy how Peloton is handling the news about this, I definitely want Peloton to survive. I love Peloton.
Absolutely.
It has been life-changing. I love these instructors. I love what they do. So, if people want to get out there and do more, and then great. That's fabulous.
I mean, I think I almost wonder, I know we're backing up, but I almost wonder if they were thinking / hoping that they would lose more instructors to attrition when they rolled these out instead of the 2 or 3 that they did.
Well, that's an interesting
because
thought.
then it's their decision and they're like, well, that's a shame. But being a Peloton instructor elevates your platform so much that you can make all this ancillary revenue off your socials that, a lot of them are probably like, this sucks and I don't like it, but I will make more money off of Instagram if I'm a Peloton instructor than if I'm not a Peloton instructor. So I'm going to eat this shit sandwich and power through.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I mean, yeah. They all signed contracts. So if others are leaving, it's still going to be a chunk of time before they do.
Yeah.
And I only say that because people did make that decision that it was beneficial, those that stayed. And I don't know if Peloton's happy about that. I think they probably are, because don't forget, they also said that they're going to have guest instructors. And they also said they were hoping to bring in other instructors in the future. I mean, they strongly suggested that. They did not come right out and say that, but they strongly suggested that. So
back to this.
Oh, yeah, Katie.
Katie is Strength. I think that's great. And I think it benefits all parties.
It does.
For these instructors not to just be siloed with one piece of equipment, especially when that piece of equipment is the row or the tread, something that's not as widely embraced as the bike.
I can't help but wonder if Alex Kowarski is now moving to the tread too.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. What makes you say that?
Because he ran the 5th Avenue Mile the other day, and he ran it in 4 minutes and some change. That's freaking fast.
Yeah.
Dude is fast. Fast.
He doesn't even need an Uber to get around New York.
No.
He'll beat the Uber. I'll show up kind of stinky, but he'll beat it. Although some of the Ubers I've been in,
they're also kind of stinky.
it's a jump ball. I'm just saying.
God, do you remember that one in DC? Oh, my God.
Oh, my word. I'm like...
We probably should not discuss people with that, but wow.
Woof. I'm like, you need to see a gastroenterologist or whatever they're called, because whatever's going on there, buddy, woof.
Yeah. That was not normal.
Yes.
Anyway, Katie's premiere class is Friday, September 20th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, and we are so excited for her. Can't wait to take more strength classes.
Rebecca Kennedy and Andy Speer had their engagement trip featured on the social media platform of Legacy of Untold Travel. Now, I have to just say,
Yes.
if it's Untold Travel, but you're posting it on your Instagram, that would technically be told travel.
It's true.
It's been told.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
I mean, someone needs to point that out to them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. But it was their engagement trip when they went to Cape Town, Africa.
Gotcha.
That's what it was. Magical
Yeah, but I guess this
engagement.
is some sort of, it said a bespoke travel agency.
Which I think
other
is
words,
pretty cool.
You can't afford it.
No, you can't. I've been seeing like the Wish version of that over on Facebook.
It's called TripAdvisor.
No, for real. They have this thing called Journey. This is not an ad. #, not an ad.
Right. There will be no promo code at the end of this.
No. I'm actually just like really intrigued by it because it's spelled JOURNEE, and you tell them the kinds of things you like and what you want to do, and then they pick a place and they do everything, and you don't know till you open it what you're getting and where you're going.
Well, that sounds great until you tell them all the stuff, and then you give them $10,000, and they're like, "You're going to Des Moines."
Well, they have lots of people very satisfied.
No, in our luck, we'd go to St. Louis. I'm like, but we're in St. Louis. And they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't see any stab wounds, so I just assumed that you weren't."
Don't worry. Nobody would spend $10,000 to come here.
Well, I know that, but that doesn't mean somebody wouldn't try and charge you $10,000. And speaking of being frugal,
that's true.
If you like,
where are we going?
If you like the Cody Rigsby, but you don't like hardback prices, his book is now available in paperback.
Congrats to Cody.
Yeah, so if you want to read the book and you're looking to save a little cash, it's now in paperback. So go check that out. Or I wait another 2 years and go to a book fair.
Or you could also wait for Black Friday. I bet Kindle's going to have some prices on it. Amazon Kindle will have some good prices on it.
You get some really good deals on Kindle if you keep an eye out.
Yep.
Should I throw in another not an ad?
#, not an ad.
#, not an ad. There's a website called Book Gorilla. That's Gorilla.
You love your Book Gorilla.
Book Gorilla with 2 L's. Mm-hmm. Like not like a street warfare gorilla, but like an ape gorilla. Are they apes? Are they monkeys? Whatever I say, I'm always wrong and people correct me.
I don't care.
Okay.
But I think gorilla always has 2 L's, FYI.
Okay, that's true. Both versions have 2 L's. That's fair.
Yeah.
With an O, not a U.
I just felt like somebody was going to reach out and tell you that. So I just thought I'd be like, at him, not me.
Not street warfare, but just in the jungle, the mighty jungle.
Yeah.
And so you can tell it the kind of genres you like, and you'll get an email every day with books that are on sale, usually for like $1.99.
Yeah, you get a lot of good deals.
I had so many books that I've bought over the years for like $2. So, and like good big name books. I bought the Beatles biography for $2. So so
and that is not a short book.
No, especially not the way I read. Coming up after this, we're going to give you the TCO Top 5 in This Week at Peloton. So if you're struggling with how to best use your Peloton membership, we will give you some guidance right after this.
# ad.
New content.
It is time for the TCO Top 5, where you tell us things and we tell them back to other people so they can do things.
I want to mention that we link these in our article every week.
Oh, yeah.
So if you are looking for these classes and you hear it on the show and you're like, how do I find it? You just go to the little tiny magnifying glass search guy on our website.
Yeah.
and you type in TCO Top 5. Or if you go to my Instagram or you go to Facebook and you search, it'll come right up.
Or I will see your or and raise you an or.
Don't forget the newsletter.
The newsletter.
And it'll come right to you. If you sign up for the newsletter, you'll always have it in your inbox, and then you can just click on the links and it'll go right to the classes.
Yeah.
So you can bookmark them.
And if you haven't looked at the newsletter in a while, I changed how we do the links.
Oh.
So they're at the top. They used to be at the bottom. So now they're right at the top. When I give you the run of show, anything that's clickable, the link is right there. So if it says, when it says TCO Top 5 and the run of show, you click on it, it'll take you right to the article. So
many options for
Yeah.
you guys. We're trying.
Yeah, and in case anybody's ever wondered, the reason why some of them don't have links is because they're like screen grabs of like Instagram stories that we're utilizing, and we don't have
a story expires in 24
right.
hours.
So like there's no point in sending the link because it won't work by the time you get it. So if you're wondering why some are clickable and some aren't, that is why. So here we go. The TCO Top 5. Number 1, your favorite run. Oh, I'm a poet.
This is with Mariana Fernandez. She has been getting all kinds of love for her classes lately, and she should, because she's amazing. Her 60-minute endurance run was her first premiere of being on the tread schedule on a regular basis. She calls it the Lost Toys Club. And I also did this class this week, and it was great. I'm so glad to see that Mariana has this finally on the schedule. Rebecca Allen said that Mariana's parents were in the class too, and it was so special. Nadine Armstrong said the run was well programmed and had great music as always. It did. It had like, one thing I love about Mariana's music choices, so eclectic. You might have like a little bit of like Spanish Latin flair,
right?
But then you also are going to have maybe some Taylor Swift and then some really good rock anthems, and so it's always switching things up. So it's so much easier to stay engaged while you're running. I love it. 60 minutes flew by.
Number 2, your favorite ride.
Okay, so this took place, it was taught by Robin, and it took place on September 6th. Important notice, as Trish Lalonde says, it was triple yellow.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh. So Robin based the ride on a bike ride that she did with Richard Branson on Necker Island, and she was there co-hosting an event, which we will also
talk about in the bonus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she did 6 hill intervals followed by Tabata. Holy cannoli.
Yikes.
Indeed.
I don't know what any of those mean, but I know it's rough.
It was only 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I would say that was a really difficult 20 minutes.
Were there any hidden hills? Surprise, it's Tabata on a hill. You didn't see it coming. Why? Hidden. Number 3, your favorite walk.
Taught by Maddie.
My favorite walk is Pantera.
Taught by Maddie on 9/6. This was Maddie's first walk-in talk back in the studio on Fridays. And Dina Williams-Rosas got to be in the class live. She got to meet Maddie, and she said he was a wonderful in person. Of course he is. And that the class was so much fun. She said the class had great energetic music and his usual insightful and hilarious thoughts on pretty much everything. Not to mention Chimp Crazy. I haven't gotten to take this class yet, but I did hear he talked about Chimp Crazy. Now I need to take the class because I need to know what Maddie has to say about Chimp Crazy, because it's crazy.
It is crazy. They did not undersell either the chimp or the crazy in Chimp Crazy.
Fun fact, a lot of it took place in Missouri, and then you guys will understand why we give Missouri so much shit.
And let us also say, it takes place in Festus, Missouri. So when you hear Festus, you think, oh, that's just in the boot heel or like the middle of the state, just in the middle. No, that's like 20 minutes from where we live. Mm-hmm. So like when you hear Festus, think suburb of St. Louis, maybe exurb, but like it is super close. If you've met...
Just so you guys know, I literally lived there, and I literally drove to work from there. I commuted. That's how close it is to St. Louis.
And like, you had no idea there were all those chimps there.
I had no idea, because if I had, I probably would have tried to go see them.
I mean, because you didn't know how
I had no idea how badly they were treated.
You would have just heard chimps. I got to go look at a chimp.
And I just love animals. Yeah, I wouldn't have known the rest of the story, but I didn't know anything about any of it.
But yeah, so like if you want to know why, one of the many reasons we make fun of Missouri,
this is a great thing for you to watch, so you get absorbed.
Yes.
You will know.
Watch Chimp Crazy on Max.
Whoo! Whew, that's a ride.
It is worth the price of admission.
Yes.
It's like Tiger King, but shorter.
And yeah.
Because Tiger King was like 8 or 9 episodes.
Not only that, but like didn't have a resolution that felt like you got a conclusion.
Right.
This has a conclusion.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say. I don't want to give anything away. Whew, what a wild ride.
Okay, number 4, strength class.
This is taught by Dennis Morton. Now, we don't get a lot of these.
Does he talk about primates?
No.
I'm not interested. Number 5.
It was a 10-minute arms and light weights, and he taught this on September 5th. So we don't usually get this, but Elizabeth Schlossberg, one of our helper bees, by the way, she nominated this class, and she said Dennis was on fire with all the new moves and really focused attention. We've heard that Dennis can look right through your soul, and this class was no exception.
Okay. Number 5, you're unstackable.
Okay. 30-minute house ride taught by Benny Adami. This was taught on September 8th. Okay. Michael Davern said Benny was on fire with an unstackable series of hills and sprints coming at you in waves. He also had a special guest to him in the studio, and Michael doesn't want to spoil the surprise, so he's not going to say who.
Okay.
Normally, house music isn't his thing, but when an instructor likes the music, you can tell. One day later, his legs still feel it. Good luck.
Who was the guest?
I don't know.
But you can tell me.
I can't.
It's just us.
I'm not going to.
You're mean.
Hashtag mean. I'm on a real hashtag.
I see that. Okay, so let's dig into this week at Peloton. Callie Gullickson is back from maternity leave.
Yeah, she's teaching her first class this weekend, September 14th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to be an arms and shoulder strength class.
We also have a new yacht rock ride with Jen Sherman.
Yes, it's going to be taking place on September 8th at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's going to be 45 minutes of awesome music.
Then a 75-minute walk-run with Kirsten Ferguson.
Which is awesome because we have longer and longer formats happening, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is the first 75-minute walk plus run, so very exciting. And, well, we'll talk about badges later, but let's just say this is good that this is going to count. This is going to be important to know.
Okay.
So pay attention to badges later.
Put a pin in it.
Yes.
We'll be circling back around. That's what you call a tease.
It is.
You tease.
I am.
And finally, Sundays with Love are back.
Yeah, I think this is like season 3, 4. I don't know. Time has passed so quickly since the pandemic.
Yes.
I don't know. For all I know, we're on season 6.
Sim 60 is now on the bike.
It is. First time we're ever going to see a full 60-minute Sim 60 boot camp class on the bike. It's going to be did take place Tuesday, September 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern, 12:15 p.m. Eastern, which means that it's already out there by the time you hear this.
Okay, go get it.
I've heard lots of good things. We were told there were like 11-minute intervals broken down throughout. So enjoy.
Remember when we told you to put a pin in something?
Take the pin out.
Take the pin out. Now pick that thing up off the floor because you took the pin out. Why would you do that?
Well, they didn't necessarily throw it down. They just took it out.
But if it was pinned to something, you pull the pin out. Well,
okay.
that's what's going to happen.
So anyway, there's a new badge. They've redone the challenges. So instead of just having a running challenge, they now have a running and walking challenge, which means if you walk the miles or run the miles, they all count.
Miles is miles.
Yeah, it is. Forward is a pace per Beck's Gentry. And now Peloton is putting that to use with this badge.
We also have not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5. Count them, 5 new benchmark classes.
Yeah, they're so awesome to have like another set of these. We haven't seen these since April of 24. And so September, it's been, approximately 6 months.
Yeah.
And we're getting 5 of these. You can use them to like figure out how many reps you can do of certain moves and then do some classes, increase those weights, and then come back and test again. That's how you use them.
Awesome. I think people should also be excited about the fact that I could count to 5.
It's pretty exciting.
You can also now build your power zones, but they will be in German.
We actually, like, this is a whole new program. We did have Build Your Power Zones already in English, but
Gotcha.
It has been redone, and it is taught by Charlotte and Erik. So I think that's really cool that they're making sure that there's lots of German content. I'm really glad about that.
Absolutely.
And Charlotte and Erik are awesome. Charlotte is so nice. Every time I post anything that even mentions her name, she like sends me a message. She's the sweetest. She's the sweetest person.
In case you missed it.
Peloton has yet another collaboration with the Little Word Project.
Yeah, some more of your instructors' favorite sayings. And we've got all kinds of them. We've got Hella Fire coming in with Kirsten Ferguson. I like totally went out of my brain. We've got Camilla Ramon, who says no pata sucia, and then Olivia Amato, and we have Stay Rad, which is by Rad Lopez.
That tracks.
Figured you knew that one.
Yeah.
And then I think Whole Ass It was Jess King's, and then No Ego Amigo. I know that's Jess Sims. Like, I know that one for sure. So if you want to collect more of these, now's your time. Better go in and get them before they're all gone.
They go fast.
They do.
Peloton birthdays.
So we missed a birthday last week. Mm-hmm. It was John Hosking. So he had one on September 9th. So belated happy birthday to John Hosking, or super, super, super early happy birthday to John Hosking, however you wish to see it. And we also have coming up Anna Greenberg on September 18th and Erik Jager on September 19th.
Happy birthday to John Hosking, Anna Greenberg, and Erik Jager.
And coming up after this, we got our interview of the week, Jolene Abanses. She's going to talk about overcoming her meniscus tear.
I think it's Jolene Abanses. I think I messed it up.
Did I say it wrong?
I said it wrong earlier.
And then I copied you.
You did.
Because I'm a follower. Our apologies, Jolene.
Yes.
But she can take over the show right after this, so stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Jolene Abanses. Hey, Jolene, how's it going?
Hi.
Joining me today.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad to be here. This is going to be fun. I love all things Peloton.
Me too. Funny that. So how did Peloton first come into your world? How did you first find it?
I had my first meniscus tear. And I'm a big runner, and I tore my meniscus, and I went in to see the orthopedic surgeon, and he told me to go buy a Peloton.
Wow. He didn't say go buy a stationary bike. He said buy a Peloton.
He said go buy the Peloton. He's like,
that's amazing.
I love my Peloton. He knew my husband, and he said, you go tell that man to go buy you a Peloton.
Wait, does that mean that it's a medical expense? He wrote you a prescription. Can you bill your HMO for that?
What I want to know is, did he get a referral for that? Like, did you give him did you use his code, and did he get free clothing from that? That's what I want to know. I feel like
he should have.
Yeah. Was your doctor wearing Peloton leggings? If so, I think I'm sensing a scam.
That's hilarious. Well, clearly, since you're a runner, you have been a person who's been fit your entire life. When did you start running? When were you doing, or have you just been active since childhood?
I was active, as a kid. I ran some high school cross country, some high school track, and I ran just kind of off and on after I had kids. I have 4 kids.
Wow.
And I kind of ran off and on. And then after I had the 4th one, I was like, sometime before I turned 40, I want to run a marathon. And so I think it was about 38. And I trained for my first marathon.
Wow. So wait, you had never run a marathon? Had you ever done a half marathon? Had you ever, what was the longest distance you had run?
So before I was 36 years old, I had never run more than 2 or 3 miles at a time.
Hats off to you. That's really cool.
I dropped off my youngest at preschool, and this group of women were training for a half, and they're like, why don't you train with us? And they said, we're going to run 5 or 6 miles on this particular day. Would you like to join us? 5 or 6 miles. I was so scared, but everybody was talking during the run and they helped like entertain me. And before you know it, I ran 5 or 6 miles that day. And the next thing you know, I was training for a half marathon that I never ran. Life and kids got in the way, and my kids were little at the time, but I ended up training for a full. And I was supposed to run the Disney Marathon as my first marathon, but I made a rookie mistake and I signed up for another marathon about 4 weeks before Disney. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Definitely a rookie mistake. And that didn't go so hot. Yeah. But I still ran Disney, but it was really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So were you like just kind of like your legs were just trashed by the time you got there?
Yeah, they were trashed. I mean, a marathon, it was a rookie mistake. You just don't know how exhausted, how tired and fatigued your legs are and how long it takes to recover from a marathon. Yeah. And at that point, I didn't have any strength behind me. No strength whatsoever.
Well, and I totally get if you haven't done it before, you're thinking, it's a month, I'm already in shape, I'll knock out a second one. Yeah.
It makes sense. It's understandable. Like, yeah.
I was just prepping for that marathon, which was a really bad idea.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry but at least you still got to do the Disney Marathon. Like it didn't like take you out where you couldn't do the marathon, because that would be heartbreaking if that was the one you wanted to do and then you couldn't do it.
Yes, absolutely.
So now, how many marathons have you run at this point?
I think I've probably run like 14 or 15 marathons.
Wow. You got right to it.
Yeah.
It's that goal chasing. And that's kind of what's fun about Peloton is that you're kind of goal chasing, how many classes and milestones. And that's probably a little bit of the appeal to it for me.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And I'm not sure if you have the original bike or the Bike Plus and how much you pay attention to the leaderboard and things like that. But I'm curious if the leaderboard side of thing drives you or it's only like the goals you set for yourself.
I am not competitive on the bike at all.
Fascinating.
Which is so odd because I'm very competitive outside running, in terms of like my marathon. I'm competitive against myself in a race. But on the bike, I do it for fun. I do it just freshen the legs, just to flush out the legs, if I've been running or something. But for the most part, I don't take myself too serious on the bike. I rarely get PRs on the bike. It's usually, I take a lot of Allie Love classes and I take a lot of Cody classes. So there's not a lot of trying to chase the leaderboard for me at all.
Okay. Now on the tread, what kind of instructors do you take, and what kind of vibe do you go for when you're doing that?
So we only got the Tread Plus back in March.
Okay.
I had a regular treadmill, but I didn't use it a whole lot. It was hard and just doesn't compare to the Tread Plus. And so I didn't do a lot of Peloton classes on my old treadmill. I did some with Bex and everything, but since I've had the Tread Plus, I'm trying out all the different instructors and trying to get a feel for what I like in a class. And I've been injured. So here I got this new treadmill and I had just injured my knee at the same time.
Oh, so it was at the same time?
Oh,
so
man.
You got the treadmill in March, and when did the injury occur?
So I had run the Mesa Marathon in February. And the week that I ran Mesa, my knee, I had tried out some of the new shoes, and some of them were a little aggressive. I was trying to decide which shoe I was going to wear for the race. And I tried on this particular shoe that was stacked a little high, a little aggressive. And I think I turned a corner just on a regular, easy run. I tweaked my knee. And I think that's what started this whole meniscus episode this time. And it was just kind of something that I guess just got worse over the few weeks. So that when the treadmill came, I was able to use it, but things just kept getting worse and worse. So my husband got to use it. I was a little jealous.
Yeah.
It's been great because he was excited that we got this treadmill and wanted to use it. So,
I mean, at least it's getting some love, but yeah, that's sad. That's very sad. How do how does one like heal from a torn meniscus? Whenever I hear something torn, it feels like you can't just like put it back together. And especially if it's happened more than once, what do they do?
Yes, this was my third time tearing meniscus. So this time I chose to do platelet rich plasma treatment, where they basically take a vial of blood, they put it into a machine and separate it, and then inject that into the meniscus. And for your knee, that happens 3 times. So it was over the course of about, I think, 6 weeks that I had these 3 injections done. And after each injection, you kind of have to take it easy. So I would do low impact spinning on the Peloton during the course of my treatment.
Okay.
And after the third treatment, it was a little bit harder. It took me a while to come back even on the bike. But finally in July, I've been able to get on the treadmill, and I've been doing some of the boot camps, because on the boot camps, since it's all broken up, I could walk maybe the first run, do some strength, do some walk running during the second segment, do some strength, and then come back and maybe run the third.
I love that.
Yeah. That's
what a great way to break that down. Yeah. And a smart way to do it, because like it's very not all or nothing, which I can be guilty of at times.
So does that sort of treatment, do they think that will like fix it more long term than it's been fixed in the past? Or is this something do you have to like change your stride? Like what causes all that?
So they're just hoping that it just promotes growth in my knee, promotes healing. And we'll just kind of see over the next 6 months how it does. I'm walking better. I mean, there's definitely improvement already. I had this done about 2 years ago when I had plantar fasciitis. And it was the only thing that got me back to my normal everyday life, because I couldn't even walk the pups down the street. My plantar fasciitis was so bad.
Oh, wow.
And this was really good for it. So I did not want to go through surgery again. The surgery the first time, it fixed it. I came back within 6 months and set PRs on every distance. I mean, it was effective, but at the same time, I mean, I've lost some meniscus.
Yeah, because I guess they have to probably cut off some stuff and put it together and do whatever they do. Wow. So this time you're just hoping that the natural growth that's there with the blood that they put in, that'll just promote that growth, and then it'll just be better. And hopefully, so does that mean like you'll always have to modify your runs, or is the idea it'll get strong enough that you can run like you did before? Or are they like, you're never running again, now you'll only be walking? I mean, I have no idea.
No, I can attempt to, get back to my everyday running. But with my age, it's arthritis in my knee, and I really should cut back on some running. The bike is there. I really should use it more. But once I get outside running and I get into training, as much as I love the bike, I can't do it both. And I get too worked up over my training for a race or something. So it's a really tough balance.
Yeah. That makes sense.
For that reason, for me to run less.
Which is easier said than done. I know. If you could design a perfectly balanced load, how would you balance your bike and run classes if you could?
I think about that all the time. I was like, seriously, I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, we need a run coach out there that knew how to put Peloton biking classes with a marathon training program. And I'm like, that would just make the best training program. I do, when I do my Peloton classes on my strength on my bike, I'm very planned. I'm going to study the classes to see what's going to benefit me and what I need that week's training.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So we were actually just talking to somebody a little bit ago who, not an injury, but is also a runner and also uses the bike for cross training. And she was saying that power zone training has been very helpful for her as cross training with marathon. So I don't know if that's something you've tried or you like or not into it or whatever, but.
I tried power zone training when I had plantar fasciitis and I was out for so long. I was out for at least 100 days of running. And I got into Power Zone training. That was fun. And I tried it again recently. I kind of I love everything Peloton. So I'll do something for a couple weeks and then I, move on. I need something else. So right now the boot camps are where it's at, and Allie Love on the bike. And I'm sure as I start running more, then it'll change again.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I had the same kind of issue, is a lot more negative than I mean it to be. But whenever I was doing Power Zone, because I enjoy the thought process of it and how it makes you stronger, it's incredibly effective. However, I need a lot of variety, and I need the ability to still take classes that are just for fun. Because if I don't, then I'm no longer engaged and I don't want to go ride anymore. And so I have to have that constant variety. But it's funny how different we all are and what drives us, right? Because some people need that constant push to Power Zone harder, more, and some people are like me, where I don't want to do that all the time. Sometimes I just want to get on a bike and sing and have fun.
Yes. And my Allie Love classes right now are kind of my go-to. I've been able to finally fit in some live classes, which is something I've not done a lot of live classes. I mean, I've had the bike since probably 2018, 2019, but I've probably taken more live classes in the past few weeks than I've taken,
Wow.
all of at least last year. Everybody's different in what drives us. And right now, that's what kind of gets me on the bike.
That's awesome.
So what is your leaderboard name?
It's Zebra Girl Runs.
Why Zebra Girl?
Back, I guess about 5 or so years ago, probably more than that, I ran with a group of runners, and we were the herd, and our logo was zebras. And so when I was looking for an Instagram handle, I just chose zebras. And I like zebras, even the blanket behind me. It's
see.
Zebra.
Yeah.
I've got all kinds of I've always had zebra stuff or cheetah stuff. And so it kind of fit me.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I didn't know if you, I don't know, run like a zebra. I wasn't sure.
Not even sure how zebras run. Are they? I mean, I'm sure they must, but are they?
They must run fast, I guess.
Known for it? I don't know.
I don't either. I don't know a lot about zebras. I know they're fascinating to look at because they look like a horse, but kind of not. And it's weird, in a good way, but I don't know much else about them. The only time I've ever gotten to see them is at the zoo, or that one time we went to Disney and stayed at Animal Kingdom.
Perfect place to see them.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Growing up, I was a big fan of their gum.
Oh my God, I forgot about zebra gum. Wow, you just took me back to the 90s, Tom. I totally forgot about that. What about your favorite instructor? Do you have one? But I know obviously for the bike right now, Allie Love, but do you have an overall, for each kind of class that you do, or is it just Allie in general?
I love Allie on the bike. I take a ton of strength classes. I probably take more strength classes than anything else.
Yeah, that's great.
It all kind of depends on the mood and what I want. I like Ben quite a bit. He's always a safe go-to. I did a couple of his classes yesterday. I love Maddie. I love Rebecca. And sometimes you just take a class with somebody and they'll kind of surprise you that day.
So true.
And, it's just what you need. But I love their core classes. That's probably my go-to. I take tons of their core classes, and I really, some weeks I'll say that I'm only going to do Rebecca classes. And then the next week I might only do Maddie classes, or I'll try to take every Olivia class that they're, that she's done for core. So I really like a variety of them, but those are my go-tos.
Okay. That's a very wide and varied net that you're encompassing. I like that.
Yeah, I love all things Peloton. And that's why I can just go from the bike to the treadmill to these boot camps to the strength classes. So I just kind of do a variety every week.
That's awesome.
Do you have any advice for people just now entering the world of Peloton?
Just try it all out, because you just don't know what you're going to like. One of my kids was doing one of the strength classes with Jermaine, and I had never taken a Jermaine class, but the music appealed to him, and I did the class with him, And I was like, what a great class. Like, it was just a very well organized class. And I just loved the instruction. And so that was someone I hadn't taken that class, I hadn't taken a class with Jermaine yet. So I think it's a matter of just trying everything and you'll figure out what you want, what you like.
Definitely good advice.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we let you go, let everybody know or remind them where they can find you in all the places, assuming, of course, you would like to be found.
Zebra Girl Runs on Instagram.
That's easy.
Very easy.
Leaderboard.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
You.
We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/CrystalDO'Keefe. They can also find me on all the socials and the Peloton leaderboard and run in circles out in the neighborhood and clip out Crystal.
But please don't actually find her in our neighborhood.
No, that would be creepy.
That'd be a little weird.
Yeah.
I mean, we love you guys, but just showing up like that would be a little weird.
Yeah.
So you can
send
also
a note first.
Yes. You can also find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon, where for $5 a month, you get all sorts of bonus content, and we like you extra, and you get ad-free episodes, all the things. So we will see you over there, hopefully, momentarily. So until next time, keep pedaling.
And running.
And rowing.
Bye.
Clip in.